Democrat Representative LaMonica McIver federally charged with assault. Fallout from the Biden collapse scandal gets even worse, and Putin and Zelensky are set to begin peace talks with President Trump and possibly Pope Leo XIV. I'm Tony Kinnett, host of the Daily Signal's Tony Kinnett Cast, syndicated nationally at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. This is the Daily Signal's top news in 10. Democrat Representative LaMonica McIver of New Jersey has been charged with assault by the United States Department of Justice after assaulting federal officers outside an ICE facility in New Jersey a couple of weeks ago. McIver, two other representatives, and Democrat Mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Baraka, attempted to shove their way into Delaney Hall despite not having legal grounds to do so. The mayor of Newark has no business being inside the facility, and congressmen and women are supposed to give 24 hours of advance notice so the facility can be secured before they show up on site for oversight. The official statement from U.S. Attorney Alina Habba states, "I take my obligations as U.S. Attorney seriously. I understand the responsibility that comes with my position, and I will work diligently to uphold the law and deliver justice to the people of New Jersey. After extensive consideration, we have agreed to dismiss Mayor Baraka's misdemeanor charge of trespass for the sake of moving forward. In the spirit of public interest, I have invited the mayor to tour Delaney Hall. The government has nothing to hide at this facility, and I will personally accompany the mayor so he can see that firsthand. The citizens of New Jersey deserve unified leadership so we can get to work to keep our state safe. The dismissal against the mayor is not the end of this matter. Congressional oversight is an important constitutional function and one that I fully support. However, that is not at issue in this case. Representative LaMonica McIver assaulted, impeded, and interfered with law enforcement in violation of Title 18, United States Code Section 111A1. That conduct cannot be overlooked by the chief federal law enforcement official in the state of New Jersey, as it is my constitutional obligation to ensure that our federal law enforcement is protected when executing their duties. I have persistently made efforts to address these issues without bringing criminal charges and have given Representative McIver every opportunity to come to a resolution, but she has unfortunately declined. No one is above the law, politicians or otherwise. It is the job of this office to uphold justice impartially, regardless of who you are. Now we will let the justice system work." Representative LaMonica McIver posted this response on X. "Earlier this month, I joined my colleagues to inspect the treatment of ICE detainees at Delaney Hall in my district. We were fulfilling our lawful oversight responsibilities as members of Congress have done many times before, and our visit should have been peaceful and short. Instead, ICE agents created an unnecessary and unsafe confrontation when they chose to arrest Mayor Baraka. These charges against me are purely political. They mischaracterize and distort my actions and are meant to criminalize and deter legislative oversight. This administration will never stop me from working for the people in our district and standing up for what is right. I am thankful for the outpouring of support I have received, and I look forward to the truth being laid out clearly in court." Of course, you can see the truth right now by looking at the body cam footage, which shows Representative LaMonica McIver openly assaulting federal officers. And additional fallout from former President Joe Biden's announcement on Sunday afternoon that he had been diagnosed the prior Friday with advanced prostate cancer that had metastasized into his bones. Immediate criticism, not just from doctors on social media and on right-leaning media networks, but also doctors going on morning programs over on the left as well, criticized the claim that Joe Biden had only been diagnosed with this cancer recently.
You believe it is likely, if this prostate cancer has spread to the bone, that he could have had it for up to a decade, but certainly it's likely. Would it be fair to say it's likely to have had this for at least several years?
Oh, more than several years. You don't get prostate cancer.
I just want to stop you. So this is not speculation. If you have prostate cancer that is spread to the bone, then he's most certainly, you are saying, had it when he was president of the United States.
Oh, yeah. He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency in 2021. Yes, that I don't think there's any disagreement about that.
Additionally, infighting has increased over on the left between individuals on the leftist media and former Democratic advisors and officials. Chris Cillizza, formerly of CNN, openly criticized David Axelrod for trying to suggest that right now it was important to let the Biden family alone and not ask questions about how the former president of the United States was able to complete his term with likely many individuals knowing that he had cancer and severe dementia.
This is a guy who is the president of the United States for 4 years and thought and ran for a second term, at which point he would have been in his mid-80s had he won and served. So that to me is a really serious conversation about how did we get to this point, given that there were a lot of signs that suggested that Joe Biden definitely should not have run for a second term. How did we get to this point? It's a media story. It's a politics story. It's a sort of transparency story. And again, I always say this, if the shoe was on the other foot, if Donald Trump, God forbid, had been diagnosed post-presidency with prostate cancer, and there were real questions about his acuity and his physical abilities while he was in office, do you think Democrats would say, let's just drop all of this? No, of course they wouldn't, because it's an important conversation to have, because we're talking about the President of the United States.
This brings further scrutiny on former President Biden's use of the Autopen, a mechanical device which mimics the president's signature on anything ranging from a birthday card to an executive order or a pardon. The issue, if President Biden was not compos mentis, if he wasn't mentally able to order the Autopen to sign something, if he was dealing with enough health and mental struggles to be incoherent, as the Biden-Hur interview tapes showed, whether or not certain executive orders or pardons allegedly under Biden's hand are legitimate. Representative James Comey of the House Oversight Committee announced that they likely knew the individuals who had used the Autopen in the Biden administration and would be calling them before Congress to testify.
That's hard evidence. Early in the President Biden's term as president, it clearly shows that he was in significant mental decline. It questions who was actually making the decisions. So what we found is not just with the pardons he issued, but many of the executive orders that the courts are now using to Trump-proof, many of the executive orders that President Trump is trying to implement to make government more efficient, many of these executive orders, as well as the pardons of Biden's entire family as a result of our investigation, these were all signed with the Autopen. And clearly from that interview, which was many, many months prior to the heavy use of the Autopen, Joe Biden wasn't capable of making decisions. He wasn't coherent. We think we've identified who the staffers are. Jason, you all have done great work with that over at Heritage Oversight. We're going to bring everyone that we believe was involved in any role in the use of the Autopen. We're going to invite them to come in for a transcribed interview. If they want, then they will receive a subpoena and they will have a full-blown deposition. But we want to find out who was actually making the decisions in the White House during the last 9 months of the Biden administration when he was clearly in mental decline.
And lastly, we could finally see the beginning to a series of peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, according to a post on Truth Social by President Trump at 1:33 p.m. yesterday. Quote, just completed my 2-hour call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. I believe it went very well. Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations towards a ceasefire and, more importantly, an end to the war. The conditions for that will be negotiated between the two parties, as it only can be, because they know details of a negotiation that nobody else would be aware of. The tone and spirit of the conversation were excellent. The president then goes on to talk about the tremendous opportunity for both nations were peace to be agreed upon. He says, quote, negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. I have so informed President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, President Emmanuel Macron of France, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy, Chancellor Friedrich Merz of Germany, and President Alexander Stubb of Finland during a call with me immediately after the call with President Putin. This is the part that took quite a few of us by surprise, but a welcome surprise at that. The president said, quote, the Vatican, as represented by the Pope Leo XIV, has stated that it would be very interested in hosting the negotiations. Let the process begin, end quote. Russian President Putin described the call later to reporters as very frank, informative, and useful. Before you go, head down to the description and make sure you're subscribed to the Tony Kinnett Cast. and join us tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about everything from the Houthi air blockade of Israel that didn't quite pan out to Sesame Street. I'm Tony Kinnett, and this has been the Daily Signal's Top News in 10. Take care.